What's up YouTube, and welcome to a super easy wavy wallpaper tutorial. You can follow along with the exact same colors with the palette that is available on my Patreon completely free, and that is the only thing you're going to need for today's design. The only thing you'd otherwise want to consider is a different screen size for your wallpaper, whether it's your phone, your iPad, etc. And if you want even more tutorials from me, you can come and join me over on Patreon, where I post 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my Patreon supporters, and the catalogue sits at well over 100 at the time of recording. So with all that said, enjoy today's tutorial and let's get started. So once you've created your canvas size of choice, you can go ahead and go up to your layers. Let's go to our background color and let's change it to the middle color in the first column and hit done. And then in our layers here, we've got layer 1, of course. Let's just keep hitting the plus until we get 9 layers. So we've got 9 in total there. Let's then go back to our colors. Let's grab the color in the top left of the palette. Let's make our way across these warm tones. So we're going to go top left. We're going to go back to our layer, making sure we're on layer 9. And you're going to want to go back to your brush. Let's change it to calligraphy and the monoline brush. We're going to tap on the monoline brush and make sure when we go to stabilization, our streamline is maxed out. And our stabilization, I've got it at 38%. You can decide what's best for you. It'll get rid of a lot of the tremors and just keep your lines nice and smooth. So hit done. And then we can max out our brush size and we can create our wavy background. Now you may want to go ahead and just zoom out just the tiniest bit, just so you can get right to the edges of your canvas. So the first one we'll start with is up here, and we'll just create a lovely wave. And of course, if you go edge to edge, you can drag and drop the color in. We can then go to our layers and go down a layer. We'll go to our colors and grab then the second color on that top row. So maybe this time I'm going to go ahead and swoop in from this side and create like a opposite wave. But as long as you go edge to edge again, drag and drop your color in, then go back to your layers. Tap on the layer below, go to the next color on that top row, the middle of that top set of colors, and we'll create another layer. Now the only thing you kind of want to avoid is just mimicking certain things back to back. So you want to try and create different layers each time, like so, and then go back to your layers, go down a layer, go back to your colors and change it to the 4th color on that top row. And then we'll create something maybe a little bit different. Maybe we'll go ahead and swoop in from this side and go across like so, one big wave, and then drag and drop your color in. And then go back to your layers, go down a layer, then go to your colors and grab then the 5th color on that top row, and this is your final layer. So let's see what we can do. Let's maybe sort of create like a big swoop out and then a little something like that, just so it makes it a little bit uneven. Then you can drag and drop your color in. Now you can see I've got a bit of a sort of path to path there sort of look to it. And then we'll go ahead and go to our layers. We'll go down a layer. Now at this point, we're then going to go to our colors and grab then the bottom left of the palette and start at the bottom. So we'll create a swooping sort of shape here, maybe a little something like this. Drag and drop your color in. Then we'll go back to our layers and go down a layer. Go back to your colors once more. 2nd color on that bottom row now. And let's try and create a really interesting shape, maybe a little something like this. So I'm going to redo that again, maybe a little swoop up on the right hand side there. Then go back to my layers, go down a layer. Next color in that set of colors, so it's the 3rd color on that bottom row. And we'll take a look at the design we've got in front of it and just maybe just create like a wave across like so. Drag and drop your color in. Then go back to your layers and your final one, bottom layer, final color, and you can then create your final shape. So let's create like a bit of a wave maybe like this. And I also want it maybe at a bit of an angle, just so we leave a little bit of space in the middle there. So now you've got all your layers. At this point, you want to take a look at your layers. Do you want to adjust any? Do you want to go back in, grab a color from that layer? So this one here, I can see, I can make sure I grab the same color. And then maybe do I want to sort of add in a bit of a larger swoop, maybe something like this? You can chop and change as much as you like with all of your layers. So I urge you to sort of make some adjustments if you wish. You can also go ahead and grab layers, move them around, slot them in a little bit further behind, maybe even warp them if you want to, just to sort of exaggerate certain sections, overlap them so you get some cool gaps in between. Let's maybe go back to my cursor and go to warp again, and maybe I can drag this one out a little bit more. That looks pretty cool. And then I'll even go to the one above that and grab my cursor, and let's see if I can drag this one out to the right hand side there, even maybe somewhat towards the middle. Let's see if we can just create a slightly different shape. Lovely. And then I'm going to go right up to the top. So these are just random adjustments. You can do whatever you want to your design. It's totally up to you. And I would urge you to try and make things that are a little bit sort of maybe a bit uneven. You don't need to sort of keep them super balanced. You can drag that across a little bit more. You know, please feel free to layer on all of your shapes in your different colors. Now you've got all of your layers, it's now time to add shadows. Now, all you need to do is go to your layer, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two, tap on its blend mode by tapping on the N and scroll up to color burn. Then go to your adjustments, go to Gaussian blur and mess around with different settings. You can swipe from left to right. Maybe you want to add a big shadow here, so maybe up to around about 20%. And then tap on your adjustments when you're done. Then repeat, go down a layer, so the next proper shape, swipe that to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two, tap on its blend mode and make sure you go to color burn. Go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur, and let's swipe this one to the right hand side. You can see we can add a big shadow, or we can keep it really tight at maybe around about 10%. Now you can go anywhere, in my opinion, from 5 to about 25%. It's totally up to you. Let's then go to our next shape down, swipe it to the left, duplicate it. The one underneath it, tap on its blend mode, change it to the option of color burn, and again go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur, left to right. Maybe we add a nice larger one on here, maybe up to around about sort of 26% maybe. Now bear in mind you might start to lose a little bit of your shape, so just bear that in mind. Next one down, we'll go to that shape, swipe it to the left and duplicate. Next, we'll go to the bottom one out of the two, change its blend mode to the option of color burn, and again go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur, and swipe from left to right. Maybe you add in a really nice sort of about 10%, maybe 10 to 15, somewhere in the middle there will look good. Then go back to your layers, yellow one, swipe it to the left, duplicate it. The bottom one out the two, change its blend mode to the option of color burn. Go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur, and swipe from left to right. And then this one, we've got what I imagine is sand in here. So I don't want to drag it too low down. I don't want it to sort of interfere too much. So I think you can get away with a maximum of around about sort of 22%. And then tap on your adjustments when you're done. You've got some really awesome layered effects in here. Then we go back to our blue tones and we just simply repeat. We go down to the dark blue, swipe it to the left, duplicate. Change the blend mode from normal to color burn. Make sure you tap on the layer that is color burn. Then go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur, and swipe from left to right. We'll add in a fairly large one here. Let's go up to around about 20, let's go to 26% or thereabouts. Let's go to our layers. Next layer down, swipe it to the left, duplicate, blend mode, color burn, adjustments, and Gaussian blur. So you can mess around with different shadow strengths. You can keep it nice and low if you want, maybe something a lot smaller like an 8%. We can then go back to the layer underneath, swipe that to the left and duplicate, grab that layer, blend mode to color burn, adjustments, Gaussian blur, swipe from left to right. And then we can go up to something maybe say 12%. And then the final one, swipe it to the left, duplicate it, blend mode, color burn. Make sure you tap on the layer that is color burn. Go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur, and swipe from left to right. This one's very subtle, so I reckon we can just go for something fairly small here, maybe something around about sort of the 10 to 5%, and tap on your adjustments when you're done. And now you've got all of your shadows. Now at this point, you've just got one other option that you can do. You can go to your layers. You can grab, for example, in the watery area here, if you grab all of the color burn layers, so you've got CB here for color burn, swipe from left to right on each one of those. So you should have 4 in total. Then grab your cursor, grab uniform. You might want to scale them down or scale them up, bearing in mind obviously the edges of the screen, and you might want to move the shadows to a different angle. So maybe you move the shadows off to the, say, left hand side there, so they're over towards that left edge. But what you do here, you want to also reflect at the top, so just bear that in mind. Maybe I'll move this one slightly off to the right instead, making sure again I don't have a gap on that left hand side. So I'll tap on my cursor, I'll go to my layers, and I'll go ahead and go to all of the color burn layers above for the warm tones, left to right on each one. Grab my cursor, I'll just scale it up a tiny bit, just so I've got some movement to play with, and I can just position it where I think looks fit, and that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit larger and maybe a tiny bit off to the right edge a bit more. So I'm going right up so you can see the edge there of all my layers. Just mess around with the different settings, tap on your cursor when you're done. And when you're fully finished, you can pinch with 2 fingers and go full screen with 4, and you end up with today's finished design. And if you want to take this design to the next level, you could utilize, for example, my grainy brush set, where I've added on all the different variations of the grainy brush set, where there is a total of 10 different grains that you could apply to a design like this, and it's available over on my Gumroad. I also provide a video explaining the brushes, different ways to adjust them, and how I've actually added them onto the design here. I'll leave a link to the grain set in the description down below, as well as a discount code as well, so you can save yourself a couple of pennies. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. As always, make sure to tag me in your finished creations wherever you decide to share them. And as always, if you want even more tutorials from me, you can come and join me over on Patreon, where I post 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my Patreon supporters, and the catalogues are well over 100 at the time of recording. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. And if you like this video here on YouTube, you'll love this one on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.